All right, we got another great episode of Tremors here on AftershocksTV.com. And today's guest, we're going down to the Lone Star State. We got with us from Austin Stoner Rock newcomers, High Desert Queen, vocalist guitarist Ryan Garney is with us. Ryan, man, thanks for coming on. How are you, man?
Hey, man, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to getting this going, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. And yeah, there's a lot to obviously talk about, man. Let's start with this outstanding debut full length that you are getting ready to release next week, October 15th on Ripple. It's titled Secrets of the Black Moon. And man, what an album, dude. I mean, I can't wait to talk to you about the songs and how it all came together. But first, let's I guess we'll start off by talking a bit about how the band formed, since it's been, you guys formed not too long ago. I think 2019, if I read correctly. So quite a quick ascension to be able to create such an impressive debut, in such a short time. So, I mean, did you guys kind of know each other beforehand? Did you play in previous bands together? I mean, how'd you guys wind up coming together?
Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words. It does mean a lot. As far as how we formed, it's come together really fast, which is really awesome. The guitar player and I, he still lives in Houston. I'm in near the Austin area.
Okay.
I lived in Houston, and so we were playing together with some other musicians, and we kind of clicked right away. He had a lot of riffs written, so we kind of, like I said, we hit it off right away and started writing together. And then when I moved to this area for work, I immediately, that was in 2019.
Okay.
I immediately sought the talents of Phil Hook, who I had seen drum in a band called Monte Luna. Very, very, probably the most entertaining drummer I have ever seen, to be honest. Like, just he's incredibly awesome and powerful, and he's got a groove and a swing to him that is different. There's a difference between playing on the one and just right behind it, and he just had that feel to him. And so I sought out him and a buddy of mine who I'd played in a band. I grew up out this way in a band out here before, Matt Metzger, who good buddy of mine, went to high school together. So, hey, man, help us out. Rusty and I kind of had the whole album written. We say that, for the most part, the majority of it. And then those guys came in, and the songs took on a whole new life when we all kind of got in the room together. And we've been very, very fortunate. Like I said, we have not been playing for very long. We'd played a handful of shows, and then the world shut down. We actually went and recorded the album after about maybe 5 or 6 practices together as a band. So the album you're hearing, we went and recorded, like I said, maybe 5, 6 practices all together.
Wow.
We recorded the drums. Drummer's a beast. We recorded drums in a weekend, had them all tracked, and then literally the next weekend the world shut down, and so we couldn't get back into the studio until that was in February of 2020. We couldn't get back in until September of 2020. So there was a long time there where we didn't get to do much together. And then so then we went back in, finished, had to go to a different studio. The studio we worked at shut down because of the pandemic, unfortunately, and all the hardships. But we found another studio where we finished recording our album at, like, literally 8 months after we started it, even though it only took maybe 3 weeks to record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how was that? I mean, obviously starting recording a record, now all of a sudden 8 months later you go back in to try to finish it. That must have been kind of an interesting, I mean, over that whole, that time, those months when you guys weren't recording, did you like listen to the songs more and want to add more things and like to the point where sometimes you might overdo it at times? But like I said, the final product came out great. But how was that really going back in there after 8 months of just having to stop and then starting again?
It was really strange in the sense that you can get to a point where we liked how, when we recorded it after only a handful of practices, we liked how loose it sounded. More it just sounded more organic, more raw, I guess is the word I'm looking for. All the artists we really look up to, really in our era, like these 90s rock artists, they kind of always had this raw sound to them, and we kind of wanted to have that too. So you get to a point where if you start listening to the music too much, we're going to be too on point, you know, and not allow for creativity in the studio and then the spontaneity in the studio. And so I thought that we listened to him, you know, but we kind of took a break. And ironically, the hardest part about all of it is that we continued to play, and we've written an entirely another album that we haven't recorded. We haven't recorded yet.
Okay.
And we're already like, oh my God, you know, I'm sure every band that feels this way. I don't know, but the next album, we're like, man, this is so much better. But because we know each other better, and we understand how we play, and we have an idea of what, like Rusty can write a guitar riff, having an idea of what Phil will do on drums now as opposed to in the past. And so it was really exciting. But then, you know, the world's starting to open up again, and we still got this album to go finish. And so we did not over listen at all.
Okay.
So we go back in, and it was kind of nice. We had Jeff Henson produce it for us. He's a really good producer, and he plays in Duel as well. Very talented, and he has some great ideas. And so it was kind of nice to go in with him when I had a pretty good idea of what I thought I was going to do vocally. For example, he would have some really cool ideas that would kind of help the songs grow. And so they definitely grew more so by going to Jeff. But I really stress that we did not want to. We even consciously said, let's not sit and just listen to the album over and over again, because it's kind of too produced or too, I don't know, too rehearsed. I don't know what the word we're looking for, but we didn't want it to sound so not natural.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, totally. And so, and the record, I know initially it had a different album title. I think it was Bury the Queen, one of the names of the song on the records. So talk about, and also a release date. I think originally it was supposed to be released back in June. So talk about why you guys decided to sort of change both. Was that the record label's deal, Ripple's deal, to maybe put it off a little bit, or?
Right, that was the label, and a smart move, I think. I'm almost certain, but it's been really good for us, because we did not have a label when we wrote the album, and the idea was that we were going to release it regardless whether we had label or not. You know, we were proud of the record, and we thought it was we were, like I said, we were proud of it. We already had this other album written, so we were like, let's get this out because we're already ready for album 2. And then by pure luck, we released a one song independently, Mountain versus the Quake. That was the first single we decided to release. Blasko, from Ozzy Osbourne, you know, fame, and you know, he's an incredible musician, and he is now A&R of Ripple. Heard our track, reached out to me, asked us if we had any label representation, and so I told him no, we did not. That we have not released anything, just this one song, but we have an album done. He asked me to send him the album, so I did, and like 2 days later, we had a meeting with him over Zoom call, of course, during the times that we were at, and within that week, we were signed to Ripple. So we never actually shopped our record. We were very, very fortunate to have this happen, and so then after talking to him, we had art done for the album. We had like the album title, like you said, it was originally going to be titled "Bury the Queen," which had a lot to do with us burying kind of what we had in the past and kind of moving on. Blasko loved it, but he's like, let's come up with something better. And I think we did. He helped us find that record's ironically, this is a little teaser, that Secrets of the Black Moon is a lyric on a song that's actually not on this record, but will be on the next record. But that's something Blasko really thought was kind of unique. He thought it was a cool sound, a cool name. He pushed us hard finding more art, and I couldn't be happier with the art that we have. I mean, originally I was like, man, I think our art's really good, and I still think it's very good. But Blasko is incredibly knowledgeable. Has been an awesome he's also like our executive producer now, and kind of pushed us to get some different art. And man, we found some Solo Marcelo out of Spain did an amazing bit of art, and we decided to push the album back until Ripple had a chance to. First of all, we had to announce we were Ripple, because we had been signed for Ripple. So let's see, we announced 6 weeks ago or so, maybe. I feel like it hasn't. I can't think of how long it's been. It hasn't been very long, but we had been signed since since February, but
Oh
we
wow,
just,
okay.
we had to kind of just keep it tight-lipped to not let anybody know. And then we announced this. Oh, actually, we announced this. Yeah, we announced signing in August, so it's been a couple months now. Because
Okay.
I remember we announced it right before Ripple Fest, Texas. So we were officially on Ripple for the Ripple Fest Festival. And
Okay.
so that's why the date's been pushed back how it is. They wanted to promote it and push it. And I think it's gone great. We've been waiting and counting the days for October 15th to get here so that we can have it released and let people hear the record as a whole. But we're very excited. That's literally a week away.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. I mean, yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next question was about Blasko. So were you guys already signed to Ripple before Blasko came in and started working with you guys? Did he actually find you guys? I mean, how did Blasko want to find out about you guys? Like I said, I know you had this, you had the music done, but you didn't obviously have a release out yet. So just talk about how you guys got discovered by him.
Yeah, I was, like I said, very lucky in the sense that I don't know, I'm not sure, and if somebody can claim this, I'm not sure who the first person was that found our song "Mountain vs. the Queen." I'm sorry, Mountain vs. the Queen, "Mountain vs. the Quake," and played it. But we started getting some airplay for that song, and it kind of just one person found it, and it kind of spread around a little bit, on different podcasts and playlists and things, and somehow or other, Blasko heard it. He reached out to us, me, and like I said, and we had the meeting. And in that meeting, he told us it had not been announced that he was going to be A&R for Ripple. It had not been announced yet, but it was already in the works. Like it was already done. It just hadn't been announced yet. And so, and he told us all about his vision, which I think is awesome. He's all about the old school. He's all about how, in the old days, you would go hear about this band, you would go see them play live, and if you liked it, that's how they signed them to a record contract, right? Those days are not exactly here anymore with the accessibility of being able to, send a song digitally, whatever. It becomes a lot easier. But he really relishes the idea of taking a band, an unknown like us, who have nothing out, an unknown, and kind of helping us do the business aspect of it in a way that's professionally done, and that's important to us. Like, I mean, I don't want to just be another. I don't want to be. We have a very strict vision of who we are. We have a very good idea of who we are, and he does a really good job of showing us how to express that best, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Where we don't want to be lumped into the record has songs that are going to be considered stoner rock, doom rock, straight grunge rock, just heavy rock, because we consider ourselves just a heavy rock band. We're a heavy rock band. And we were very adamant about not being typecast, I guess, typecast into a certain genre. And it's easy to do in this genre because there's so many bands and so many talented bands, that are going to be out there. And Blasko did a really good job of creating the image for us that doesn't get lumped in. It's going to allow us to have, hopefully a more diverse group of fans, because we like to think our music is a little more diverse than just straight stoner rock. Like I was one of the biggest stigmas. We got called stoner rock right away. I'm like, it's literally my favorite genre of music right now. I get that, but I don't know if we're exactly stoner rock. I mean, I'm a school teacher, for God's sake, so I don't even, I don't even smoke. I don't even smoke, so it's like I'm stoner. I'm like explain to people that we're a stoner rock band, right? And Blasko understands that there's more to it than just the music, and he's been awesome, man. He's really helps us a lot with that. And then of course, it's cool just to be working with Blasko. He's just an awesome guy,
Absolutely, yeah, no
So
doubt.
great.
Yeah, it is interesting, with the labels thing. Obviously, like you said, stoner rock's one of those genres, if you only want to call that, because it's so broad.
To me, stoner rock is heavy rock that's not on the radio.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's like, or like you said before, you guys are very influenced by 90s stuff. A lot of the stoner rock is very 90s influenced music as well, like 90s hard rock influenced there. It's got bits of grunge in there, and obviously it's got, it's also got some 70s kind of stuff in it too. But yeah, I agree. I was gonna say that because I did see that in your press release that it was, you guys related to the stoner rock band. I know most bands don't want to be typecast and labeled in that corner, and understandably so. And like you said, a lot of times it's because, well, it puts a stigma on, well, I'm not a stoner. I don't smoke necessarily weed. So, but it's obviously, most bands hate it. They do. And but and you're right. I mean, the music is more than just a stoner band. You get let's actually talk about that right now. I mean, sonically, I mean, I love how the record sounds. I mean, the recording, and like you said, you did with Jeff. We talked to him a couple weeks ago too, and he was telling me that, I mean, the one thing during the pandemic is there's been no shortage of bands recording, and everyone's really just coming full throttle. Not bad, music's alive and well. Let's put it that way. And that's what he was telling me with his studio. But yeah, going back, I mean, like I said, I think he did a great job recording. The mix, I think, is phenomenal. I mean, vocals, go ahead.
And I have to give credit on the mix. So one of the good, silver lining in the pandemic is we had a lot of time sitting around. So even when we finished the record in September of last year, we were like, all right, well, what do we do with it? Like, what do we average? And then Blasko hit us up, right? But in the meantime, we were like, if we're going to sell this record to labels, we didn't have to, but that was the plan. We started to seek out other people to mix and master, and I just had a pipe. It was literally, I thought it was a pipe dream. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go for my number one, which is someone by the name of Karl Daniel Lidén, who records, because my favorite record of 2020 was the Lowrider Refractions album.
Okay.
To me, it just sounds so incredible. And the mix is unbelievable. And then he does, like, he used to drum in Dozer, and he mixed all those albums, and big influence of mine. Greenleaf, who I love. Yep. He did their last record, well, several records, but the last one is just unreal. Domcraft, they all have this bottom end to it. It's hard to explain.
It's that kick drum. I think it's the kick drum that really sticks out,
the way he mixes his drums, and our drummer is a beast, and I'm like, we need him to shine. And we send the music to him, just saying, hey man, hopefully we're nobody from Austin, Texas. Hopefully you'd give us a listen. And he wrote back, was like, man, I really dig the stuff. I would love to mix this. And we got it on the calendar, and the rest is history. He did an amazing job. And that was the one thing that Blasko mentioned. Blasko, he had heard, I mean, the Jeff Henson mix is great. He had heard, that's the song that got us discovered. He heard that song and hit us up. And then I sent him to Karl Daniel Lidén mix, and he was like, okay, this is on another level. This isn't like a garage band. This is a whole other level. And so that I got to give Karl Daniel Lidén all that credit, because he understood exactly what we wanted to sound like, and he was able to do it. It was awesome.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, the drums, the thing, what's great about it is, all the instruments on the record, they all stand out, in itself. Your vocals, the guitar leads too that are on this record are phenomenal. I mean, and like you said, the drums, I mean, you can really hear everything on its own. It's the way it's recorded is just, and mixed was just really, I mean, just amazing, man. That's the first thing I noticed when listening to the record. It's just like, wow, this was done so professionally, and just so every instrument just really sticks out. Nothing's sort of left behind. There's nothing in the background. It's just not just, either the vocals or just the guitar that sticks out. Everything really does. And like you said, I guess a lot of that obviously has to do with those guys you worked with Jeff, obviously, and with Karl. Both
just Jeff had so many great ideas. He's phenomenal at understanding, like, hey, maybe we should try another little guitar here, or try something. Like, he really pushed me on my vocals. He got some great takes out of me, and he was hard. He is hard to work with, and that's why he's good. Because I would hit something and think, whew, I hit that, I felt good, and then he'd tell you that sucked. Like, whoa, what? Like, what? Like, I thought that was good. He's like, no, that was terrible. And he just really demands good takes, and so I respect it. He's like, I'm putting my name on this. It's gonna have to be good. And then Lidén, he's out of Sweden. He truly understands the space of it all, like where something should shine, when vocals should carry it, when the guitar should carry it. I thought we couldn't be more happy with that. And that's one thing that Blasko is all about. He's like, look, this is your first album. There's going to be a stigma when people say, oh, this is a debut album. There's kind of this stigma of what it's probably going to sound like. and we want it to blow that idea out of the water. And so that was Blasko's our goal as well, but Blasko really helped us see to that.
Yeah, I think that's been accomplished. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, when you listen to this record, yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like, yeah, you guys have been together for 2 years. I'll just say that. I mean, it seems like you guys have been around a lot longer than that from hearing it. You know, one of the songs on the record I want to talk about that's, you know, it's different than, you know, the other tracks too is the song The Rise. Talk a bit about that one, exactly what, you know, we're hearing in the background on that track, which is, it's a really cool song and a little, you know, it's a little different than the other tracks on the record.
Yeah, and it's got some samples in it too. It's really cool.
Samples.
That song came about. So The Rise bleeds into the song Skyscraper. Essentially, they're the same track, but we decided to shoot it in 2 tracks because it really is like like you said, it's a departure. So the song The Skyscraper, Rusty had this guitar riff written, and the song was pretty much done. Like I said, we only had about 5 or 6 practice, and then one day he just kind of started noodling around on, because the riff you'll hear in The Rise is eventually the same riff you hear in Skyscraper, but it's completely, you know, it's not full on distortion. It's cleaned up. It's got some delays and some kind of cool ambient things going on, and we all just kind of were like, man, this is cool. When our drummer started playing like a little tribal beat to it, and it kind of just grew and grew from there. And like the synth sounds, you know, our Phil, our drummer, he's really good at keys as well. So he put some synths in there for us, and we were trying to find some. I'm a English teacher by trade. That's my full-time job. So big reader, and I was reading a book at the time by Rudolf Steiner. He's a old German. Some people say he's a clairvoyant. It's pretty cool. He's got some really cool stuff. And that actual sample is from him reading a sample of his book on the origin of evil. And
is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So if you ever want to look up the origin of evil, it's interesting. He talks about why he feels there's actual evil in the world, and so it's pretty cool. And I cut it up to fit where I thought it fit in places. And that's one of the most fun songs to play live for that same reason. And what's kind of neat about the album is that's the midway point. So on a vinyl, when the vinyl comes, that's when you flip over and it's like the whole album gets darker. And that was the rise of like what we call like the darker part of the album, if that makes sense. Like it was really, it kind of gets more, it's kind of in a direction we've kind of started to go musically, not darker, but just more out there, you know. And it's really, really cool. And so I'm glad that you like that song, because that's one of those ones where like, man, sometimes we play it live, people are going, what's going on? There's some loud, crazy noises here. What's going on? Yeah. And then the way it slams into Skyscraper, we really liked it. So it's kind of signifying the halfway point of the album.
Okay. Yeah, cool. No, because I was listening, just, you know, I was trying to listen to the what, you know, the samples were saying, and it was some pretty cool philosophical, deep stuff. And I was like, what is? I got to find out what this is from. So I thought it was really cool. But yeah,
and it's the lyrics or the samples that I pulled are this idea that you know, he talks about in there that humans have a purpose here to make the world better, and then once we've made it better, we go on to you know, some people to even another planet. He says, you know, like it's kind of this really cool esoteric stuff that I really dig, and I like reading about, because it kind of, whether you believe it or not, it just makes you think and have more perspective. And so it's pretty cool, and that's stuff we pulled from that.
Awesome. Yeah, no doubt. You know, and the other song I think that, you know, the one song I think that really stands out on the record, I mean, like I said, I mean, the whole album's great, but As We Roam, I think, is the song that really, that kicked it in for me when I was listening to it. When that song really, when I came on and that started playing, man, that's when I was like, wow, this stuff's really fucking great. I mean, that really takes, I think the record, it just takes it over and just really puts the listener into, you know, just a trance in a way of just really sitting there going, all right, I got to listen to this thing full through now. You know what I mean? That's
awesome.
You know, I mean, talk about that song. Yeah, how that came in, because like I said, that's definitely my favorite track on the record.
Oh, thanks for saying that, man. It makes us feel so good, because it's funny how that song as well has has grown on us so much. We've always liked it, but it's like it's really, as we've written stuff. So that's probably the most. So we went and recorded 12 tracks. 8 made the record, counting the Rise. We had one song we put on the Ripple Fest compilation. It's going to be a digital bonus, so it'll be available on like Spotify and things on the new album. And some that we're saving. One we're saving for the next album, and a couple that probably just, who knows if we'll use them or not. As You Roam was probably the last song we wrote.
Okay. Okay.
For the album, and I will say that I love the fact that you saying that's the song that did it for you, because if you like that, that is where we were going. Like that is what we are writing now. That kind of driving, like just really drives you, but kind of takes you in different levels. And like the chorus in that song is so big, and I love that. And that's compliments to Jeff Henson. Did a great job of like really coming in. And I had a good friend of mine we play music together, Bobby Kirk, come and help me sing harmonies on that. And he's now a permanent fixture of the band as we're moving forward. It's just been a cool thing. But that song came all about. Rusty had that intro riff, like what the quiet kind of simple riff at the very beginning of the song as it starts to build. And I remember he's had that, because he sent that to me years ago. And that's all he had. I was like, man, it sounds really pretty. Like, I'm not sure where it goes, but it's pretty. And kind of forgot about it. And literally in practice one day, he starts playing that. And we joked that it was kind of like the AC/DC intro, because Phil kind of starts hitting the drums like dun 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 dun, as it builds and builds and builds.
Steady build up, yeah.
Yeah, the steady build. And it just slammed. And that we wrote that in maybe 2 practices. And it was just so cool how that song came about. That, like I said, that was the last song we've written together probably on that album. So we probably understood each other better, more in the room, and kind of knew like where it would just go naturally. And it's a jam song. So we jammed on it, and we actually had to cut and Jeff did a great job of this too. There's probably about 1.5 minutes of that song that got cut. We do have the extended version that we may release at some point, but it's like we jammed for a very long time, and we're like, okay, I like it 7 minutes, but we have vinyl restraints where you only put so much on a vinyl, and so we had things had to get trimmed, so we trimmed the solo down a little bit. But now live we probably play like a 8-minute version of that song. It's pretty cool.
You do? Okay, very cool.
Yeah, nice. But it's fun how it came together, and we're excited. I think that song got kind of forgotten even on the record. So we had kind of decided, Mountain was already out, so that's our first single. Heads Roll is a cool track that we felt like would be a good change of pace. And then we just released Did She as a single, I think maybe just this week. It's only available on YouTube right now. That'll be released at the end of the week. But we all are we already know that the next, like we're gonna make another music video. And even though those 3 singles are out, the next music video is going to be As You Roam, without a doubt.
It is. Okay. I was going to say that is I think that's just the hit of the album. And I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons too, where, you might have want to cut a minute or so off, is just because if you're going to make that obviously a single, it's
that's going to be the next music video that we will push really hard, because I think that's we want to get the album out. I think the songs that we've put out are like, hey, this is who we are. Kind of gives you a good taste of what we sound like, and what we're about, and that song I think is really defines more. So I'm really, that's why it's so cool to hear from you that song really hit you, because that's probably one of the songs we are most proud of as a band.
Awesome. Well, it definitely did. Yeah, everyone's gonna love that, man, no doubt. Well, you brought up something about live music. I mean, one of the unique things about you guys, obviously, is that you're releasing your debut album, during a pandemic. And obviously that's usually not the most, ideal time period. You want to be releasing your debut record, conventionally, because, obviously conventionally people talk for it, and it's a way to celebrate it. But the good thing, I guess, for you guys too, is though you're living in Texas, where live music still seems to be like it's going pretty strong right now compared to the rest of the country, or even in the globe. Overall, do you think once the record is released, is it going to be, I guess the good thing is you guys, as you said, you already have a whole another album written. So it's like, I mean, as much as you obviously are pushing this and want people to hear this, I'm sure there's that voice in the back of your head that just can't wait also to get going on that next record, because it's, I understand it's hard to move on to the next record and until you release that other one.
Right.
So, I mean, this, like I said, you guys are just in a very unique, obviously, situation compared to a lot of bands that obviously just released their first record. I mean, is it going to be sort of a bittersweet experience that you really can't overly celebrate the thing, this record the way you'd like to do it with touring, or is it just, you're using it as like, listen, we've used this time to hone our chops more, come together more as a unit, and we're just going to kind of take what we're given and enjoy it the best you can to this point, because you really have no other, choice, I guess, other than playing in certain areas where they're allowed to, you're allowed to play live music.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to have to try to find a balance, because we have been fortunate in Texas to be able to play some shows here. Then they're not, to the same standards or level that you can, but it's getting there, and we're getting to see that here. You still have, people who are scared to go out, which is understandably, and they're not coming out to the live shows, but there is a really incredible music scene here that comes and supports, and is like a very alive and well. But yeah, we would have liked to ideally tour behind this record. I think that was the idea, that this record come out, and because we don't know how it's going to be received, and we hope it'll be received well. We're hopeful that it will be, and that we can go play behind this record. And so we don't know how much, like, it's finding the balance of, all right, we've got another album to record, and we want to do that fairly soon. And so like, all right, we're in a pandemic. Now's the time to probably go record, because we're not going to be able to go tour right now, and we don't know what's going to happen, as winter gets here, and cold and flu season is back or whatever. So we're going to have this big blowout album release party next week on the 15th in Austin. And then we don't know how much we're going to be playing live for a while, as we're probably going to focus on the next record. And because we've had to pause all of that, so that we could prepare for some live shows because we haven't played the songs that are on this record in a while. We had to go back and kind of like play them again, bring them to life.
Yeah, sure.
We have big aspirations for 2022. I'm the consummate optimist. Glass is always not half full, but like all the way full with me. And we're already planning, we're planning a tour in March. We're probably going to be going out west through the desert. It just makes sense. High Desert Queen. We'll go through the high desert, work our way to the West Coast, and then and back. And then this is all, that's how we have planned out. If the record is really well, we'll do more touring than that, hopefully. But at least we know we can have that. And we already have a European tour we're putting together for next May and June.
Very cool.
We're about 5 dates booked in on that right now, which is great. Music's been very well received in the UK, and it's kind of crazy because the album's not even out yet. We're just getting some good vibes over there, and so we're gonna play our first. We're like, all right, we're gonna play our first overseas shows in the UK, and we've been asked to play a festival in Scotland, which is really an honor, called Red Crust. It's really cool, and so some cool things are happening. So it's one of those deals where if the album does really well and it's well received, does that mean when we go on the road, people are going to want to hear that record? Because we're going to play, that live show this next week. We're going to play the full album, and we'll probably play some new jams too, and then we're going to go and record, and so we'll have what's real fresh with us. The second album that won't be out, we can't release it right away. We're still got to. It wouldn't be. It would be a bad business decision for Ripple to do that right away, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it's kind of finding the balance of, and I'm sure what we'll do most likely is we'll mix in, that first album and second album, and kind of just go with what we think makes the live show flow the best. Because one thing we love about the live show. Because playing live, there's nothing like it. And that's what's really hard about all this. There's nothing like playing live. And I'm very fortunate as a frontman to have the talent that I have behind me, because there's literally parts of the show where we just improvise and don't know what's going to happen. And that's where the magic happens, I feel like. And that's when we have the most fun, because we're creating, we're not just playing. And so that's what we like. And so that's why we're really anxious to get out on the road and play, so we can do that. That's why I was saying As We Roam, it's anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes when we play live. It just depends on how it's feeling that night. You know, you just never know how it's going to be.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, man. I like I said, I hope you guys make your way out west here because you'll definitely have, especially in the Bay Area, you'll have a lot of people coming to see you for no doubt, especially like you said, Ripple's right over here, and
yeah, Ripple's in San Fran, right?
Yeah, and well, speaking of that, like you brought up something before. Just one last question I got for you with Ripple Fest. I know there was Ripple Fest Texas. I believe too. I think that you were part of helping to put that together. So talk a bit about that. I mean, I know we've had a Ripple Fest here in the Bay Area, but that one there seemed a lot different in here, meaning a lot bigger, if you want to say it. Because Ripple Fest here in San Francisco, obviously, it's in a nice, decent sized venue, but it seemed like you guys really in Texas, like they always say, everything in Texas is bigger in Texas, and it seemed to me that's what happened. Yeah, exactly. So talk a bit about that because that seemed like that was such a heck of a show that was put on.
Yeah, that was magical, man. That really was. So, long story short, when I moved out this way, I needed to. Nobody had ever heard of Hiders at Queen, and so I'm trying to book shows in a whole new scene because we'd moved from Houston and we just kind of got this going. So I was like, I didn't want to. I had this idea to I'm not going to be like, hey, this is Ryan from Hiders at Queen. Let's try to book a show together. So I created a booking moniker called Lick of My Spoon Productions.
Okay.
And so Lick of My Spoon Productions is all of a sudden exploded because it was just one of those weird things because of the pandemic. Nobody's playing live shows. I'm trying to book live shows because I'm, once again, always optimistic that it's going to be over. We got to prepare. They can't say, hey, it's open, and then nobody's got shows prepared. So I was like booking shows and preparing things, right? And so we had some shows booked and some really cool shows set up. And then when we got signed by Ripple, I had talked to Todd because I've seen, there's other Ripple Fests in different cities and say, hey, man, he had just signed. I talked to Todd Severin of Ripples, who was talking about earlier. Yeah. Talked to him about how he had just signed us. And it just maybe a week or two before, Blasko had also signed Holy Death Trio, and they're our friends here in Austin. And there's another band I haven't quite announced yet, so I won't say it. There's an incredible band out of Houston that got signed by Ripple. So there's a lot of there's a big thing happening in Texas right now, and we're just thrilled to be a part of it. But there's definitely a good scene right here. And I think a lot of it is because that we're able to play live shows right now. You know what I mean? And so I think the music is just growing right now. Well, anyway, so I called Todd, said, hey, we need to do Ripple Fest Texas. What do you think? And he what's so great about him, he's like, yeah, man, I thought it was one of those things where is that something you put together? And he's like, no, all the Ripple Fests that apparently have ever been done have all been band created. Wow.
Very cool.
And I'm like, all right. And I go, and I didn't know that either. And I was like, okay, well, Todd, I'm gonna try my best. I don't know, we can't even announce we're Ripple at the time that I'm booking this. I'm gonna do the best I can to try to get the show going. And I was able to get a lot of the Texas bands. There's a lot of Texas, whether they're still on Ripple or not, they've had Ripple connections. Here. They had just signed Thunder Horse out of San Antonio, and of course Switchblade Jesus used to be on Ripple out of Corpus, and so there's a lot at Witch Crier out of the Dallas area, a lot of really good Ripple bands. So I call all them up. I'm like, hey, we got this great show already. And then I started gotta get greedy. I was like, well, I need a headliner. We've got some great bands, but I want that clear cut, just phenomenal headliner. And it started by getting Wino. We reached out to Wino, got Wino. I was like, that's cool. We got a big name who's going to be there. He's going to do his acoustic set. That'll be really cool. This is before the Obsessed decided to start playing again.
Okay.
And I was like, awesome. And then it having a name on it like that, then I was like, yeah, I'm going to reach out to Mothership. And then Mothership signed on, and that was a big one. They're one of the, poster bands of Ripple, and then getting Freedom Hawk and just bands coming down, Howling Giant, just a bunch of different bands that started. All of a sudden, it became not just this it was Ripple Fest Texas, but it became bands were coming from all over, and it was awesome. It was really cool, and I did it in this really large venue because I wanted. we weren't sure if we could even do it inside because of the restrictions at the time that I
Sure.
booked it.
Mhm.
But then we found a large enough venue that we could have it, even if a lot of people came, and we did. We had over 400 people plus easily come to Ripple Fest, and
Nice.
we had the Mad Alchemist Liquid Light Show, which made it look like, that was my idea. I want people to walk in and be like, oh my God, where am I?
Oh, yeah.
That was my goal. We nailed it. And now we're already planning to make it bigger and better next year.
Awesome, man. Yeah, sounds like a good time, man. That's all I got to say. I heard nothing but great things about that.
Yeah, and what was cool about it was that I was meeting people there from all over the country. That blew my mind. I knew Austin would show up, maybe some Texas, but I was meeting people from San Francisco there. I was meeting people from Philadelphia, all over the country, and that made me feel like, wow, like this. That was the first year for it. I was like, wow, this is really cool. But it also made me realize how hungry people were for live music. Like I had people flying in from areas where they weren't having it as much. And so, and I've experienced that too. We've had bands come through that we've played with, some national bands, and they're thrilled to play here because of the fact they can't play where they are. And so it's kind of rough, it's rough. It was a weird time for sure. But we're already going to make the next one bigger and better, and I've got some big names already brewing up. So when you start making announcements, you're going to want to start getting a plane ticket.
I'll probably have to. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like I might have to take a trip down here myself, man.
Yeah.
If you got the same lineup you got last time, and something similar to that, because that was fantastic.
It'll definitely be similar.
Awesome, now. Well, once again, the title of the album, "Secrets of the Black Moon," High Desert Queen. And Ryan, why don't you just go ahead and let the listeners and the viewers know where they can find more information on the band, where they can pick up merch, check out tunes, all that good stuff.
Absolutely, man. We have our website is the best place, which is www.highdesertqueen.com. We have a website that has all the links to everything there. You can pre-order the album, which I'm so overwhelmed and just like humbled that almost all of our pre-order vinyls are sold, and that blows my mind. Either my mom and a lot of really good friends has bought a bunch of albums, or it's done well. So it's been really cool. But and of course we post all our stuff on our Instagram page, just at High Desert Queen. That's the best place to reach out to us, and we love communicating. I love talking to people because it still blows my mind anytime somebody says, "Hey, I heard your song. It's so great." That just literally blows my mind. And so I love talking to people and reaching out, and on Twitter, which is like our Twitter is at HDQ _band. I've really enjoyed that. We just started that going, and people reaching out, connecting back and forth, because that's what I like about it. I love meeting. You can never meet enough good people in your lifetime. And I've met more people because of booking the shows and because of our band getting some exposure thanks to Ripple. So it's been really cool. And so our website, and then of course our Facebook pages. We have a fan group page, which it's High Desert Queen fan page. Okay. That's a really cool place to go to, because we always put everything that we do there first before it goes anywhere else. And that's kind of neat as well. People still use Facebook even after all the when we have the hacking that just happened and everything, right? Yeah. People still use it. We still got it. Yeah.
Very cool.
But
Awesome.
But our website's got merch and everything on it, and our records and some shirts and things. And we just opened an Etsy store because I had so many people from the UK who were like, "Hey, we'd love to buy a shirt," and I'm literally selling the shirts out of my house, right, where I'm wrapping them up and I'm putting them in the mail. And it's ludicrous to ship a shirt to Europe right now because of COVID, and the price is insane. So we created an Etsy store, and it's links on our website so that they can buy directly from a site in the UK, so they can get the same shirts but not get totally destroyed on shipping costs. So we're trying to do whatever we can to cater to as many people as we can.
That's great, man. That's a very unique way of doing it. Just like you said, keep people then can save their money and go buy the vinyl is what they can do with the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, once again, the band's name, High Desert Queen, Secrets of the Black Moon. It comes out October 15th on Ripple. And yeah, once again, Ryan, man, thanks a lot for joining us.
Oh,
And
man.
man, I can't wait to check you guys out live, and I can't wait to get my hands on that vinyl because that's going to sound amazing once I put that on the
Yeah, we can't either.
turntable.
We can't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
And it
Right.
was an absolute honor to be here, man. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all you do for us and of course everybody else in the scene. It really means a lot. This is one big family, and we just love to keep feeling the love grow, man. I really appreciate what you do.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Ryan. I appreciate it, man. Thanks.